Nosfera-Me, Nosfera-You, Nosfera-One,
Nosfera-One.
Nosferatu, Ashley.
Terrible. That's terrible. Terrible.
A movie night double feature here on The Articulate Coven.
Right. And I did
How
them back
exciting.
to back. So it was like watching the same movie twice.
The Articulate Coven is the original, unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire Chronicles, The Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and The Immortal Universe from AMC and AMC+. I didn't do them exactly back to back. I didn't watch anything else in between the two movies. Let's put it like that. It was over like the course of 2 or 3 days, and so I watched the original First of all, welcome to the Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
Everybody. I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Those of you watching us on video, I'm just going to go ahead and get it off the top here. Ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly, and she's Mary Tyler Moore, I guess. I don't know. I don't care what you say about us, baby. I don't care about that. I got new glasses, Ashley.
They look sharp, man. I like them.
Thank you. I wish I knew where my other pair was. I got 2 pairs. So these are actually I know some of our audience are scared to be on Facebook because they don't like Meta. I don't like Meta either. I bought their glasses though. I did buy their glasses.
Damn.
So you can see if you're watching the video, you can kind of see the 2 little cameras are in the corners. There's a camera on one side and there's like an LED indicator on the other. But like when I take a picture, oh no, I've turned them off. I forgot I turned them off.
Spy glasses.
I know, right?
Spy glasses.
Here's my thing. They are, first of all, the reason that I got them, I was like, hey, I met my deductible this year for my insurance, which by the way, fuck the American healthcare industry.
Man,
just
it's the
as
worst.
A whole.
What a racket.
I mean, we genuinely, and this will be all of the politics for this week, I promise, other than some of the films that we're going to talk about have some political messages, I think. But the idea that we pay one of the highest per citizens for healthcare in the entire world, even among industrialized nations, even among the quote unquote first world. And yet we're like 17th in life expectancy or something like that.
Yeah, we're not getting our money's worth is what we're saying.
So many of our fellow citizens are bankrupt because of medical debt. Mm-hmm. Like I myself have incurred tens of thousands of dollars in medical debt over the years. I haven't paid. I don't know. I probably have paid tens of thousands of dollars if you added it all up. I've paid a lot. I'll say that. Anyway.
I mean.
Boo.
Boo indeed.
But I thought I had met my deductible, or I had met my deductible, and I thought I had eye coverage. But no, Ashley, because why would our eyes and our teeth be included in our health?
Those are our luxury organs, Joel. Those are luxury organs. Your teeth are your luxury bones, you know. That's real talk.
But I went and had the eye exam anyway. This is one of those times where the big chain market stores do you a good job. Like Walmart is like $85 to get an eye exam. It's
That's
totally
not bad at
reasonable.
all.
The doctor here was really nice. Melinda Legg, shout out to her. She did a great job, and I got glasses. But they had this thing where if you wanted to get transition lenses, so these are sunglasses as well when I go outside, they're like, hey, if you get transition lenses and you buy a cheap pair, so you buy 2 pairs and you get transitions on one of them, you can get the Meta Ray-Bans for like, I don't know, it was like 30 or 40% off or something like that. I saved a couple $100.
Nice.
So I was like, well, what the hey? I hadn't thought about getting them honestly before. I mean, I thought about it, but I hadn't been serious. But I have them. I've used them a little bit. When you take a picture, you get a little flash on the thing. If I take a video, I can hold it and the light stays on while I video. So like, It's not surreptitious. It's not like spooky, scary or whatever. But
no.
Now I've got a little video of us doing this podcast, which is
insane,
as meta as it can get.
What have we come to with technology in this world?
I literally thought, though, as she offered me that deal, I thought those would be so fucking cool to have when we're in New Orleans for Anne Rice's celebration of life.
Look, listen, they're going to be cool to have for so many things. I catch my buddy Clayton sometimes like looking off into what seems the middle distance. And I'm like, you're recording something, aren't you? Like, you're not fucking contemplating life. You're fucking making a creepy video.
It's really impressive, honestly. The video quality, the image quality is pretty good, and the sound is really cool. It's like spatial sound. So if you
That's
have headphones
interesting.
in, you can hear the person where they are around you when they were speaking, which is cool. Yeah, I thought, like I took some video the other day at my mom's house. She's about to sell her house and move closer to us. I took some video out in the pool in the backyard with playing with the kids and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool for that. It'll definitely be cool for New Orleans for those of you that can't join us. I'll put a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff up using these and using the old phone and everything while we're there in New Orleans. The link for that, by the way,
Joel's actual perspective is what you'll get.
Yeah, literally, you can put yourself in my shoes.
That's right.
There's a link in the show notes and the info in the show notes to do. Hang on a second. I just realized why I had these off in the first place. I got a message on them and it was like,
That's
beep, beep, beep
hilarious.
in my ear. Yeah. In the show notes, there is a link for and the information to book your hotel room for that weekend. November 1st is Anne Rice's Celebration of Life. As we're recording this, Christopher still hasn't shared the ticket sales info, but I'm sure that is coming soon. He promised announcements incoming. I'm guessing probably we'll hear about who will be attending and who will be participating in the Celebration of Life. There is one thing that he has already announced. There's a link in the video of this in our Facebook group. He has asked for submissions, video submissions. If you're on his newsletter, he's given a PDF with the directions on how to do this, but you can make a video about what Anne means to you or how you found her and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can check that out. So do that and you can send in a video and that video might be used in the actual Celebration of Life. A longer version of that with more participants will be included in some sort of documentary archive that's going to be made. So
awesome.
Yeah, exciting stuff that we can actually be part of it. Also in the show notes is the link for you to participate if you haven't already in our poll. Tell us whether or not you're going to be going to New Orleans. We're trying to solidify plans for us as well. We're going to do a tour maybe together. We're going to try to get together for a live recording while we're there, etc.
Have a hangout.
Also included in the show notes is a link to the live stream. So I've made a calendar event that you can download and add to your calendar. And that should not only lock the time zone down for you locally, but also it will give you the Riverside link to join the live stream with us and participate as an audience member. So that is in the show notes as well. And then finally in the show notes, and Ashley, I don't think I even mentioned this to you, there are 2 new designs up in our merch store.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. So one in particular, I just felt like really had to be done. Let me go look quickly because I honestly cannot recall what the second one is off the top of my head, which is crazy, but I can't for some reason. I have to log into the store. Why do I have to log in again?
Damn it.
Right?
Technology.
So one just felt like it had to happen with our recent episode and ongoing discussion of sinners. We call it sin when we cannot profit from it.
Excellent.
Yes. And it is a really cool image. There's a sticker version and there's a t-shirt and a hoodie and etc. But it's scales with a person in one side and a giant money bag in the other and a dark looming figure over it. We will call it sin when we cannot profit from it. Really like that one.
Nice.
I was pretty proud of myself on that one. And then also there is an Abracasazerac, which I thought...
Yes!
I remembered that title was one that I had wanted to do in the past. But it's a magical script and it says Abracasazerac on the top of it. And then there's an actual Sazerac cocktail below.
I love it.
With the garnish and everything. And that's in a sticker and a t-shirt and etc. So go check those out. I figured the Abracasazerac honestly might be a great shirt to wear on your trip to New Orleans this fall, for instance.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so those are in the show notes as well. All of those links, you can check them out there. Ashley, do you have any business like that to get to? I'm trying to think if there's anything that I forgot before we start talking about these movies.
No, I don't think. I think
we're good.
I think I'm businessed out, frankly.
It's been a week of it, hasn't it?
It's been a week.
All right. Had you ever seen Nosferatu: A Symphony of Horror before?
I had indeed, but it's been a really long time. A really, really long time. And I was like, I don't remember this plague subplot at all. But yeah, I watched it like once before, a long time ago, probably in junior high. You know what I mean?
I don't know that I had ever seen it. If you had asked me, I would have absolutely told you yes, I had seen it before, probably in college. But I watched it and I think, The only parts of this that I remember at all are the parts that are referenced in every horror documentary, right? Yeah, the clips
you
that you
always
see.
Yeah.
And there was just so much of the story that I didn't realize exactly how closely it follows the Dracula story, et cetera,
I
et cetera, right?
didn't remember it being such a just blatant ripoff, but it is just a blatant ripoff.
I mean, we joke about how Mayfair like just played word search with the books for
Right.
the Lives of the Mayfair Witches novels. But this film, all it changed is the character names, basically. It cut out one major character, really.
How did they get away with that?
I mean, they didn't, honestly, right? They didn't get away with it. That's the thing. And the controversy of this movie, first of all, I should own up to a couple of lies I told you last week, Ashley. When we were signing off on last episode, I said, Nosferatu, the 22 one, is like super short. It's like not even 60 minutes long. It isn't. It's almost 90 minutes long.
Yeah, it was like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, hour 20, hour 25, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the new one, the 2024 film, is like 2:15. It's not a short film either.
It was lengthy.
And I mean, both of them I feel like earned their length, but they are surprising when you think about how bare bones the story that they're telling is, actually.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because it's definitely a ripped down version of Dracula, even being a copy, it's very much a pared down version of it.
So the 1922 film was an unauthorized remake of the Dracula story, right? The book at that point was 40-ish years almost old. Was not a giant hit, by the way. The novel Dracula didn't really attain its cult status until after the film, after Nosferatu came out, and this controversy that happened. Murnau, the director, is like a very famous and very applauded German director of this period.
Right.
And he makes this movie, which was a smash. People were fucking terrified of it at the time, and it's breaking, records all over the world. And the widow of Bram Stoker says, "Ah ha ha ha, hello, sir.
What have you done?"
I think actually that's my husband's story, you a-hole.
This movie looks very familiar to me on a lot of levels.
So if they had done what the court ordered after Stoker's widow won the case, because obviously she did. Of course, this was not like...
This is clearly a ripoff.
So obviously Dracula. I mean, basically the biggest thing they changed is that they moved it from London to Germany, right? The main thrust of the story takes place in Germany. Wisburg, Germany. But after she won, the courts ordered that the film be destroyed. Like, not only that she get the money that they had made, but that they ordered it destroyed. We shouldn't have it. A few copies remained. And then at some point, years and years and years later, when we began to think about film history and preserve things, it got cleaned up and restored and rediscovered and then shared around. In the meanwhile, though, Universal Studios went and made a Dracula movie in the early 30s, which we haven't really talked about. We did talk about Dracula's daughter on this show, but did we cover the original Dracula? Maybe we did.
Have not. We've done the Bram Stoker's Dracula,
that first Dracula movie ain't that good, y'all. That 1930 Dracula is sort of slow and boring, and Bela Lugosi is not fantastic in the role, if you ask me personally. I think this is a better film than that Universal. It is, honestly. Like, I think Nosferatu is a better film than the 1930s Dracula. The 1930s Dracula is so close to the silent film era and style, even though it was a talkie. It almost did itself a disservice. If it had gone silent film, it would have been better, I think.
It's like in that awkward in-between period where we weren't quite
sure. When they didn't know how to make a movie yet.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
this just leans into the whole, I mean, obviously because it is a silent movie, but it just, it sells it all so well because it's so like melodramatic and ridiculous at times.
Maybe this is obvious to you all, and this had occurred to you years and years ago, but here's something that literally only occurred to me like last week when I got ready to watch this movie, actually. My son and I were talking about how funny the name Talkies was. In the beginning they ended the silent film era and they started making movies with sound, and they called them Talkies. Right. We're going to go see that new talkie, the what's the Al Jolson one that everybody talks about, the first one? Anyway, we're going to go see the new Talkie movie, or the new Talkie. And I was like, isn't that silly that they call it Talkie? And then Judah and I both discovered at the same time, we call it a movie.
A movie?
Why do we call it a movie? It's because it's in motion. Y'all have, maybe this occurred to you a long time ago. I don't know. Film is because of the medium, obviously, right? It is shot and projected on film, but we call them movies because the people move on screen in front of us. And it had just never occurred to me until this week. It's a weird moment for me. I don't
think I've ever thought about it in that way before, but of
strange
course.
Though, right? But yeah, of course, we've heard movies so much all of our lives, we don't think it's strange, but you're confronted with the concept of a talkie and you're like, oh, that's silly. No, it's not. It's exactly what you call it.
It's a movie.
Yeah, right? Okay, anyway, so this film shouldn't exist, and I'm glad that it still does. It is a really interesting piece of film history. It was very affecting, and I do think overall, watching it from the modern era, this is a more enjoyable experience than the Bela Lugosi Universal Studios.
Yeah,
Dracula.
I would agree with that, just because I don't think I've ever made it all the way through that Bela Lugosi Dracula.
It's so slow, and it's shorter than this too, I think, but it's so slow, and it's just not good. Dracula's Daughter is so much a better film than that one.
Shocked by how good Dracula's Daughter was, honestly.
Yes. All right, so let's get into this. The first thing that I want to acknowledge, and this is so true of silent films, if you haven't watched many, this is something that I just want you to know going into watching any of them. And I would strongly suggest go watch a couple of like Buster Keaton films or Charlie Chaplin movies, or go watch this one. It is something that you need to have in your wheelhouse if you're a film fan. You know, you need to know what that gear is like and where all of these things originated. And the best ones, the ones that we remember, they remain for a reason. I think they are still worthwhile, and they do have things to teach us. But in any silent film, the music, man, the fucking music is what you know most, like, because they're doing so much with the music. The interesting thing to me too is I saw somebody say about this one that they saw this for the first time projected in an old cathedral with a live organ playing the soundtrack.
Very fucking creepy and cool.
Right? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, that would be really incredible.
If you haven't watched this, by the way, it's on Plex. That's where I watched it. It's on a bunch of the free services.
I watched it on YouTube. It was free on YouTube.
Yeah. I think it's all over. Okay, right off the top, and this was where I was like, oh, I definitely have not seen this film before. We meet Herr Knock. We meet Knock, the boss man, this creepy ass boss man who's reading occult papers, and then he's going to send off young Hutter, legally and separate and distinct from Harker, by the way.
Yes,
Hutter
very
totally
different,
not
not very different characters.
Thomas, not Jonathan. Don't even worry about it. It's totally different. Anyway, Knock says it might cost you some sweat and perhaps some blood.
Yes, yes.
I was like, okay, yeah, great. The look for Knock, by the way, I just want you to acknowledge here, if you haven't watched this before, because they so much carry it over into the 2024 film. Like, they absolutely take this look of this man and translate it.
Yeah. This is the newer version is a very faithful, like, recreation of this.
Isn't it, right? It was startling to me how, I mean, first of all, Eggers obviously has his own style, and we'll get to that one in a minute, but it genuinely was like, it's clear he loves this movie.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of it that's like a very faithful recreation of some of the scenes. It's not like a shot for shot by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not. It's not the Gus Van Sant Psycho, which is its own interesting experiment. But this is not. This is a different thing, a better thing, I think.
Yeah.
So Hutter makes it to Transylvania, gets some grub at the inn, but they warn him against traveling any further, of course, because the werewolf haunts the woods, is what they say. And I'm like, is there a werewolf in this movie? There's not a werewolf in Dracula, right? Ashley, what in the Tasmanian tiger is this creature that they show in this film?
I'm not sure, because I was very confused by the horses as well. Like, I was like, are those real horses? Is that a puppet? What am I looking at? I was confused several times.
So it's not, they put this animal on screen that sort of like chases him for a little bit and like howls in the distance or whatever, but it's just an animal. There's no special effect. I mean, I suppose maybe they painted it or something, but it's like, maybe it's a hyena or a dingo. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen this thing before, whatever it is. That's why I immediately went, is that a Tasmanian tiger? I was like, they were dead in 22 though, right? Like they were extinct already.
What is this?
Such a strange moment though. So the horses are interesting because they do a similar thing in the 2024 film as well. The horses that belong to the castle are like robed and hooded and robed,
like masked too. Like
really
so
weird. Creepy, like off-putting. Very very upset. This whole movie honestly is very creepy and off-putting. It's strange.
Yeah, they definitely, it's a whole fucking mood. And then when you get into the Eggers version, it's just a whole fucking
it's even more so
mood, you know.
So Hutter settles down into his room at the inn and he picks this book up off the nightstand. The title of the book is Of Vampires, Monstrous Ghosts, Sorcery, and the Seven Deadly Sins. Y'all, just
some light reading before bed.
I immediately went, well, thank God for the Gideon's Bible in all of my hotel rooms, actually, now that I think about it.
You could have been reading something much, much deeper and more frightening.
So there's a mention here in this book that he starts turning the pages of, that the Nosferatu comes from the seed of Belial, Belial. I had never seen that before, so I looked it up. So this is a term occurring in the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament, which later became personified as the devil. In Christian texts of the New Testament, alternate spellings include Belial, Baalial, Balial, Belhor, etc., etc. There's a bunch of different ways to spell it. Early usage of this word referred to wickedness or worthlessness, occurring several times in the Old Testament. Later in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Belial was personified as a demon. In the Secret Book of John, an early Gnostic text, the ruler of the underworld is referred to as Belias. So this is one of many demons in the Old Testament, but it's eventually been sort of like jammed into Satan himself or Lucifer. So like this is a big baddie. And in the Hebrew text, there are other phrases like sons of Belial or simply sons of worthlessness. So the idea is that not only is he a demon, but he's some sort of chief demon, maybe even creates other demons. That's where Nosferatu comes from in this original story. I had forgotten the occult connections, which are not really, they're definitely not in the 1930s Bela Lugosi Dracula.
No.
There aren't really many of those either in the modern remake. And I'm trying to think, I don't think there's a lot of that in the original book either. Like, so in the original novel, Renfield would play the character of Knock here, basically. That fills that role. And while Renfield has fallen under the sway of Dracula in the novel, it is not implied that he brought him, which is implied here, right? Like Knock sought him out as much as anything. And it's very much Knock is involved in it heavily and wants to be in the 2024 film as well. So
he's
that's different.
He's tits deep in this saga.
I mean, literally tits deep in it in the 2024 film.
Yeah.
Man, okay. So you show up to a strange, creepy castle, middle of the night. You get scolded because you arrived late. But the reason you're late though is because you had to walk some of the way because nobody would bring you here.
No one will give me a ride to your house, dude. Like nobody will drop me off. That fucking sucks.
Then you cut yourself on the bread knife, Ashley, and then you get your thumb sucked by your creepy host, pass out seconds after freaking out about getting your thumb sucked, wake up to discover bite marks on your neck. No worries, go get some breakfast, homie.
Yep, just brush it off. Brush it right off.
He's so excited when there's food on the table, and he just prances down there.
Look, it's breakfast. How thoughtful. Let's talk about how if I meet anyone fresh and new that I've never met before and they have those fingernails, I'm going to have some thoughts about them.
Okay. The one thing that I didn't, and I know why they did it, first of all, because this Nosferatu style vampire has become a trope on its own, right? Like, we literally referred to the Midnight Mass vampire as a Nosferatu vampire. We talked about the Salem's Lot remake having a Nosferatu
Right.
style vampire, whereas
Ugly
the
fugly.
the
Ain't
miniseries
looking
had Rutger
good.
Hauer, Anyway, and also the 2024 version is very directly referencing Vlad Dracul, right? Like, they make him look, Orlok looks like paintings, this very famous painting of Vlad Dracul specifically. So, I mean, that's where the mustache comes from, for instance.
Yeah.
But I sort of hate that the silhouette is not the same in the modern version. At least they did keep the claws. But Orlok's silhouette here and the way they use the shadows again and again and again is just,
it's fucking iconic. I mean, it is. I mean, that's what we think of when we
yes,
either think of the silhouette, the shadow, or you think of him like rising up the way he does in that one.
yeah, rising up
Like,
out of the coffin.
those are the two things that are like some of the most iconic images from this movie. I mean, people haven't seen it, they still have seen those images. It's like what you said. You felt like you had watched it, even though.
Man, okay, so who is it that takes care of Ellen while Thomas is gone in this one, in the original version? Is it Harding in this one too? The character's name is Harding in the
Harding,
2024
yeah.
remake. Okay, so is it,
I don't know. I can't remember if his name was the same.
there is a Harding character in this one, but I'm trying to remember whether it was his house that I'm thinking of here. The note that I have says Ellen's daddy back at home smoking a saxophone. All right, so we cut from Hutter eating breakfast after he's been passed out and attacked the first night, but he doesn't seem to realize what's happened to him. And we go back to Ellen at home, and she's having her first bout of conniptions because she's upset about her love. And whoever the man of the house is that she goes to speak to, he's wearing a fez with a little like thing pulling down on it, and he's smoking a pipe, but the pipe is literally the size and motherfucking shape of a saxophone. I've never seen a pipe like this. And I was like, I paused it to go show it to Kelly. I was like, I mean, maybe I need one. I don't know, but like, where would you even find anyway?
What do you Google to find that?
Yeah, saxophone pipe. I don't think that would get it to me. Anyway, I love whoever that was. Kudos on the smoking accessories, sir. All right, let's talk about Knock for a minute, the real estate agent. So we've got this great character of the real estate agent in Salem's Lot that I raised hell about, because in the recent remake, he's not really a major player. He's just barely in it at all. In the book and in the old versions, the 70s version and the 2000s miniseries on TNT, the real estate agent is the one that brings him in. He brings the vampire to town for money.
Yeah.
He's going to get rich on it and powerful, and he doesn't give a shit about the morality of it at all. Yeah. And many times along the journey, he's been given opportunities to bow out.
Say, nay, let's not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what we had. I didn't realize what a direct ripoff it is from this, which is not exactly the case in, again, like Renfield is more of a servant in Dracula, the novel.
Right.
Whereas
here,
and maybe there's the idea, maybe there were some hints in the manuscript or something that Renfield was chose to bring this evil to shore. But I like the way that Knock is played here. And I really like the way that he's played in the 2024 film.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting addition to me. And that's an example of how, like, yes, okay, this is a ripoff. Like, folks, don't rip off stories, right? Pay writers and make
write your own shit.
Make your movies appropriately. But at the same time, everything is a remix, and there's good that is added to the vampire mythos and to these ideas and these legends in this film, even though it was a ripoff.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is worth a watch, even though it is look, listen. It happens all the time. Okay,
our Van Helsing replacement in this one, and it's true in the 2024 film as well, they are a Periclesian. And I was like, Pericles is like a Greek myth thing, isn't it? And I had to look it up. No, Paracelsianism was an early modern medical movement based on the theories and therapies of Paracelsus. Excuse me, not Paraclesis, which I thought Paraclesis, I think, is a Greek myth person, but
Yeah.
Paracelsus is here. This developed in the second half of the 16th century during the decades following Paracelsus's death in 1541, and it flourished during the first half of the 17th century, so the 1600s, representing one of the most comprehensive alternatives to learned medicine, the traditional system of therapeutics derived from Galenic physiology. So this was stuff like there are water spirits and air spirits, and alchemy is a Paracelsius thing.
Okay.
Paracelsianism leads into the world of alchemy, and those things are connected. Originally coined by Paracelsus, the word comes from the ancient Greek, which I can't say. It means to separate, to draw out, to combine, to recombine together. In its original use, the word spagyric was commonly used synonymously with the word alchemy. However, in more recent times, it has often been adopted by alternative medicine theorists and various techniques of holistic medicine. Anyway, what I'm telling you is, if your friend has been telling you to not get a vaccine this year because they have a YouTuber that they want to send you, and that YouTuber begins to tell you about spirigia or alchemic Paracelsian methods of medicine, you say, no, thank you.
No, thank
and you
you.
schedule your vaccine, friend. The plague is real and it will come for us again.
Yeah, it will. In whatever form. I mean, that look at what happens to these fucking people.
Right?
Town is overrun with rats, aggressive rats.
I wonder about the rat wrangler in the 1922 film, right?
My God.
Did they, I mean, these are not trained rats in 1922 is my point.
These are just heaps and heaps and heaps of rats. There's no one running that organization that makes sure animals are not harmed in films during this time period.
I don't think the unions were very tight on their management of animals
rats
on set.
The
ASPC did not, ASPCA did not sign off on this.
Yeah, no one gave a shit about the rats. There was a lot of them.
Here's a question that I do not know. Was the original version of this film tinted? Was your version tinted? I should ask you that
My
first.
version was not tinted.
Okay.
My version was
very
black
often
and white.
In the version of the film that I saw, daytime scenes would be orange or yellow, heavily orange or yellow tinted. And then nighttime scenes would be heavily blue tinted.
No. Mine were not like that.
Yeah.
Mine was more of a true black and white.
And the interesting thing to me was I saw it a few times in the 2024 film as well, where they played with the coloring, or they almost zeroed out the color to a place where you got to a black and white frame. Really, really interesting. So Hutter tells Ellen, once he finally gets back away from the Count's castle, which I love, again, like you talk about a ripoff, he falls out of the window of the castle. He is picked up by nuns and then nursed back to health, but not really completely. And he, even sick and still injured, races back home so that he can save his wife from the vampire that he knows is coming to get her. And I'm like, yeah, friend, that's Dracula. Like I've even seen that done recently in a remake on Netflix. Like, anyway.
They weren't shy about ripping it off.
No, like he really ripped it. He didn't go halfway. He did not half-ass this unauthorized adaptation. So Hutter gets back though, and he tells Ellen, don't even touch the scary book. And of course, she can't help herself but to go and touch it.
Don't tell me not to touch a scary book. I'm totally reading the fucking scary book. This is how I get in trouble.
Well, okay, here's my thing though. You barely made it back home yourself. You fell out of the castle to begin with. Why did you bring the cursed book home at all, actually?
Maybe to have proof that you could have some sort of something to back up your experience.
Okay, I suppose that's fair. So,
yeah,
Ashley,
I mean, a cursed book, like that's going to get some of us into trouble.
She's reading the book and she comes across the information about Nosferatu. How do you solve a problem like Nosferatu, Ashley? A woman has to sacrifice herself, of course.
A very sweet woman. She has to be very pure woman.
Interesting, and it doesn't really happen in the 2024 version. the townspeople all get out their pitchforks and all go after.
We do have a we're gonna fuck you up scene.
But they don't go after Orlok. They go after Knock. I loved
know. They do. Well, that's the devil they know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, which, by the way, and I guess we could talk about this instead of this one in the 2024 version, but it did strike me. The 2024 film, almost all of the characters refer to him as Herr Knock. They sort of pronounce the K.
Yeah,
did you notice that?
I did notice that.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
I was like, oh. Yeah. Is there something to the name Knock, by the way, as far as like evil or Satan? Is that like a old scratch sort of thing?
I don't know.
I don't either. Let me see if I can find it. It felt like there was something to that. No. Doesn't seem like it.
Just a name. It's just a name.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, Ashley.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes sometimes it's used in unsavory things in the Oval Office. You know, look, listen.
So, okay, here's a moment that, and this is again something that you discover sometimes when you go back and watch silent films, because you do have to remember the silent era was pre-code, right? There was the Hays Code was not in place for films, and so they didn't have all of the rules that so much of film history happened through, where like you can't know any character who does evil has to be punished in the end, and et cetera, et cetera. They didn't have those laws at this point, right?
So stupid.
Okay, here's an example of that, though. Ellen wakes up dreaming of Orlok, and she just straight up grabs that titty. Like, she gives it a good old squeeze. Did you notice? Like, holds it for a hot minute.
There's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of commitment to titty work in both of these films. I would like it noted. Also, like that this guy's a fucking chest biter. Like, what the fuck? Why we gotta be a chest biter, dude?
I dug it, honestly. I like that quite a bit, for real. And I don't know if that comes from somewhere else. I don't remember that being a thing in other literature or films, really. But yeah, I know there are films specifically and TV shows where they talk about biting thighs. You know, the inner thigh, but I don't remember chest biting, but I dig it. I'm for it.
Man, he gets right in them titties.
So it's interesting to me because we've only barely met the doctor at this point. Bulwark is his name in the original version. But Ellen wakes up and she says, "Fetch Bulwark," but she's fooling. She's calling the old count out. She's play acting here. She chases Thomas away basically so that she can call Count Orlok in and trick him into staying there until the sun rises.
Let's have
she just does it all by herself. Yeah, it's interesting to me in both the films, in both versions of this film, I should say, it is the action is actually thrust forward by the woman, which is not common, especially at this period in Hollywood, I would say. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, in the black and white era, generally, I think women are often the reactors, not the action drivers. But here, she is the reason that Orlok was drawn to this area in the first place, and she is the resolution for it as well. Although, you know, she doesn't get her happy ending in this one, at least. She does get one in the 2024 film.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's worth all that, is all I'm saying.
Super cool shit with the shadows on the stairway as Orlok climbs up to her room. Coppola's Dracula does this as well, does it really well, but I didn't realize how much of that he's pulling from Nosferatu, not from any of the Dracula works previously.
Again, a lot of dramatic stair work, like people dramatically sliding upstairs.
Yes.
That happened at one point. Someone was frightened and they were like, oh, gasp. And they were like slithering up the stairs, kind of. It was so strange.
So really the only shots of violence in the whole movie are Orlok draining Ellen, which is interesting that it's like the final, you know, moments of the film, basically. And it's the only real violence we see. Everything else happens off screen, basically.
Right.
They're great, though. Those moments are like pretty impressive and creepy. Him lying on top of her like that and draining her is fucking spooky, man.
Yeah.
And here's another thing that I want to talk about, because I don't think this was very common at this time in film history at all. This movie intercuts scenes a lot. Like, we'll have a scene be playing out, will cut to another set of characters, but then go back to the
Yeah.
previous scene, which an intercut like that, like you think about the end of A New Hope, where you have all of the plot lines coming together, right? It's like
Right.
they show it in film school or whatever. This does some of that, honestly, and building tension and driving back and forth between
Right.
the two
Between
sets of
different groups of
action.
characters. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that takes a lot more editing work. That requires so much more work in post production, you know?
So Orlok gets caught by the light of the sun, gooning for that woman, and he goes up in a puff of smoke.
Just dis-a-fucking-peared. But why?
Wispy.
Yeah, he just wisped right away. She seemed fine for a minute there. I was like,
I thought she was going to be okay. I was like, oh, they didn't. They're not going to fridge her. She wakes up just long enough to cry out for Hutter, basically.
yes.
And then she's
And then
dead.
she has to die in his
again.
arms. Yep.
Yeah, cuts a
Yeah.
happy ending for everybody but Ellen.
Yeah.
Did not care for that, actually. The ending of the thing was a little disappointing. But overall, I'm really glad we watched this. And it's so interesting and unique, especially when you put yourself in the time frame that this is 100 years old, y'all. Like,
yeah, you guys. Fuck. You know?
so
It's still
crazy.
worth a watch. It's still worth a watch 100 years later.
Let's talk for just a second before we move on to the remake about Max Schreck.
Yes.
Fucking looks crazy in this movie. Like,
absolutely banana cakes.
the way he moves is so insane, but his facial structure and his arm, and I will say quickly, the Skarsgård brother that we're going to talk about in a minute does a really good job of bringing that to life. The physicality of motion is very similar.
It almost feels like stop motion animation with this guy that is so creepy to me and is so so unnatural. You know, I love it. It's really, really fantastic.
So Friedrich Gustav Maximilian Schreck was born September 6, 1879, and he passed away February 20th, 1936. Known professionally as Max Schreck, a German actor best known for his lead role as the vampire Count Orlok in the film Nosferatu, as you might imagine. He was a stage actor primarily.
Which, I mean, makes perfect sense in that time period, you know, like that.
Yeah, of course. Of course. He was hired for Prana Film for its first and only production, Nosferatu, an unlicensed adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. The company declared itself bankrupt after the film was released to avoid paying copyright infringement costs
Goddamn,
to the author's widow.
They just had a plan.
That is part of the film. If you've never seen it, I think I'm going to try to suggest it for our next round of movie club movie nights, by the way, if you were a $10 patron or a $5 level patron, you should look in the show notes. There might be a link for the poll for movie nights coming up, because
Hell
I feel
yes.
like our book club is almost decided. We'll announce that next week during the live stream, but let's pick those movie nights, because we ought to have quite a few of them here coming up,
Yeah.
at least 5, I would say. And I'm hoping that one of those films might be Shadow of the Vampire, which is the Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich film, where they basically do a fictional version of the making of this 1922 film.
Hilarious.
Really good. And I'm glad that we visited it, especially in light of discussing this remake from 2024, because I do think it puts it in a greater context. I don't think I would have enjoyed the 2024 film as much if we hadn't watched the original to get the context.
You know, sometimes going back and watching silent films can be a bit of a chore, and you have to be in the right mindset for it, for sure. And
It's homework.
Yeah, and you have to you got to put your phone down or you're going to miss some stuff. And this made me feel like I'd say about 90% of the time I was like, my phone's down. I'm going to see what's happening. And that's really good for something that's 100 years old.
Really felt that way about the remake as well. The 2024 version, it captured my attention from go.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, let's talk about Lily Rose Depp for a second.
She's so good in this, and I really, really had a bad Nepo baby feel about her. I was like, I don't think Like, she's really pretty, but I don't know. She was so fucking, like, deranged in this. She was
Her
so
physicality
willing.
is amazing.
Amazing, right? Really incredible physical work, like, really willing to be fucking ugly, you know, and make some fucked up fucking scary faces and contort herself in a lot of wild ass ways. Like, I was really impressed that she went that fucking hard.
So Ashley, I'd forgotten she is the other half of Kevin Smith's Clerks Girls duo that appears in the films Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
Oh, that's
His
right. Yeah,
daughter
yeah.
plays one, but she's the other. I'd forgotten that they were both in those films. But
Yeah.
I've seen her in Tusk. I've seen her in Yoga Hosers. That's been years ago since I've seen those two, though. But she was in Wolf in 2021. She was in The Idol in 2023.
Yeah, I really
The
hadn't
series.
seen her in anything. I just known her from her modeling. Like,
I
I
hadn't
knew
seen her
her
in
from her
anything either.
modeling campaigns, and she was always so gorgeous and lovely, but, like,
She was in The King from 2019. Which one is that? I don't. Oh, that's the Timothy Chalamet Henry V movie. Yeah, I need to maybe watch that. Actually, I've not seen that one. Wow. Okay, she is really special, y'all. Like Nepo Babies is gonna Nepo baby, and there's no doubt about it that she got into the industry earlier and easier, probably
well, she's
because of
fucking
her last name.
fantastic in this. She's fantastic in this.
Yeah, she punches her weight. Like there's no doubt about it. Like she's really really good. And also, again, this is an example of how the remake I think does improve the story in that it centers her purposefully. In the original film, Knock is the one who's doing the occult bullshit and
Right.
he's drawing Orlok to Germany. Orlok is then confronted with the existence of Ellen, who is this alluring figure. And so, yes, now I'm going to go for Ellen. But here, Ellen looks for company. There's a quote late in the film. I want to go see it. Where does it
Y'all,
say?
my God.
She says, I sought company. I sought tenderness and I called out. She opens the film with a prayer that something, anything from any realm of existence
Yeah, y'all.
speak to her.
You can't summon your friends like that. Like you don't get to pick your friends if you summon them like that.
He says to her, you are not for the living. And I felt
God.
I felt that deep down.
God. Like, this movie was so fucking creepy and bothersome to me. Like, I really like no, I do it plotted. It was a little slow. I think that
Yeah.
for Eggers for me is like he's like he needs 10 minutes less runtime on everything he does. I think
It's
that
like
is just
it's like a tone poem. Like
Yeah.
he's evoking a feeling.
Which I get, and you're doing it really well, and so I'm not
Yeah.
mad at you about it. But for
But
me,
it
for
does
my
take two.
taste, we could snip 10 minutes out of this, and we'd all be all the better for it, you know?
Yes.
But
Well, you think about historically, like we talk about, okay, I've already mentioned it. A New Hope has that great ending montage. But like the reason why A New Hope works so well is because George Lucas's then wife was the editor and she cut the fuck out of it.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
cut the fuck out of that movie.
Yeah.
And that's why we study it
Yeah.
50 years later in
Patton
film school.
Oswalt has a really, really funny bit where he talks about if there's a movie that you love that was done by a male director, I guarantee you it had a female editor.
Had a female editor. It almost definitely did.
And
some woman to say, you're wanking now.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And get to the fucking tell a movie, actually.
Yeah.
Do a movie.
Do the talkie, sir. Do the talkie. Yeah. But I really, he just creates such an atmosphere. I think that that's something he's so good at creating, like the fucking feel of a place, of a time, of a moment. He's so good at really, really putting whatever emotion he wants to into the physical fucking space of the film, which is so cool. And I think it takes a lot of skill and talent to make just even the set itself kind of seep with character.
100%. And again, it's like I had my doubts, honestly, about Bill Skarsgård as Orlok. Bill, first of all, is a very, very fascinating actor, creepy as fuck, and committed to whatever sort of look you want to give him at any given moment, for sure. But in my head, I was like, I don't know that I would go Pennywise for Orlok.
Yeah.
There's none of Pennywise in this.
No, but I also felt the same way about his casting for Pennywise at first. I was like, I don't know about this guy. I'm not sure about this guy. And then he fucking
unbelievable.
Is so fucking horrifying. Like he's
so like I'll never look at that dude again after Pennywise the same
design,
way.
Like everything about that design just was pulled so hard from the book itself.
Yes.
And so it was so much of what I had pictured. It was so fucking scary. It was so fucking scary. So I like for this, I was all in for him. Like, and I honestly, when I first started watching it, I thought it was the other brother.
You forget how big Bill is because you know how big Alex is. Alexander Skarsgård is this giant of a man, right? And Stellan is a very big dude in his own right. But
love Stellan.
Bill is every bit as large as Alexander is. You just don't see the two of them together very often.
Well, and I don't think I thought of Bill Skarsgård as being big.
And they use all of his bulk in this. And in particular, I think, too, they take advantage of the fact that he is so much taller than Lily Rose Depp. The scenes where the two of them are standing together and where Orlok just towers over her, which also
threatening. It's so
accentuates the curvature of his spine and like the decrepitness of his body and everything.
And his weird hat, like what the fuck?
Oh my! But see, again, that's from that. It's from that one painting of Vlad that they're like, he was wearing this stupid ass hat and has this stupid ass mustache.
Yeah,
you know.
And that's what we get.
Will you be one with me ever eternally? Do you swear it? And she does right at the opening of the thing. And again, like I was like, oh, how cool, making it all about, we talked in the episode about Sinners about making a deal with the devil. That's what Ellen has done in this. She made a deal with the devil years ago, it turns out.
Just as a sweet preteen, a lonely girl. Read a fucking book, Ellen. Read a book. That's what you need to do instead of fucking trying to make friends with the Satan, devil, vampire.
But let's talk about what the deal with the devil is for. This is a movie about sexual repression. This is a movie about sexual repression as strong as any vampire movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They literally discuss her hysteria and hysterical women, and they talk about her menstruation. Is it liberal enough, et cetera, et cetera?
Are you bleeding liberally enough, ma'am? Jesus God.
She even says it herself. I quoted the line earlier, I sought company, I sought tenderness, and I called out. But the second line after that, and this is much later in the film, but when she's confessing this to Thomas, she says, but Thomas, it was you that gave me the courage to be free of my shame. What was her shame, Ashley? She's horny. She is aligned with her sexuality. She is a sexual being. She's a very sexual being.
You're married. You get to fuck now. You don't have to be ashamed about it.
She's like, oh, thank God I can be horny now. And we see the second that they are married, she gets down like immediately. Anyway, it is interesting to me that they draw that metaphor so directly here. And there might be other things that I honestly missed that this film is about because that was so directly for me.
And I guarantee there's even things within that I missed because this movie it was a lot to watch all at once.
That's why people talk about this movie being a sexy movie. And like, I know part of that is a joke because Orlok's so decrepit and disgusting. But it is a sexy movie in a way. There's
a lot of moaning and panting and writhing around.
Yeah. Which is interesting for him to so directly go with the nasty, creepy vampire, but also vampires are sex and sexy and, et cetera, et cetera. It's, I don't know, man. It was an interesting combination, the two of them. So, okay, right up at the top, Knock is complimenting Ellen while he's giving Thomas this new gig. He's promoting Thomas as a new husband, but he's talking about Ellen directly. He says, Ellen is truly beautiful. He says she's a bit of a nonpareil, which I had to look up. I was like, what was that? Nonpareil means having no match or equal, non-parallel, basically. There's nothing even with you. Then he says that she's almost a sylph. And I was like, what's a sylph? I've heard of that before. So a sylph is a mythological creature, specifically an air spirit or fairy, originating in 16th century alchemy. It's a Paracelsian thing.
What?
Yes, Paracelsus, a 16th century alchemist, is credited with coining the term sylph to describe air spirits or elementals. He and others associated with them with the element of air and attributed them with various characteristics and abilities related to that element. Sylphs were considered one of the 4 elemental spirits. Right? Yes, all ties back together. So in this version, our eventual doctor, Dr. Alban Eberhardt, what is his name in the film?
Von Franz.
Von Franz, yeah, Dr. Von Franz, Willem Dafoe's character. He is a Paracelsian. It turns out that's why he was run out of the medical community. And Nock is a Paracelsian as well. That's why he's gotten into the occult. That's why he called to Orlok in the first place. Interesting little connection there, I thought.
I love it.
I like too, by the way, that this Nock, the 2024 Nock, has the occult papers as well. He quickly covers them up while he's showing Thomas the map of where he's going. So obviously this isn't a silent film. It's active and alive in a way that those films weren't. But also it is in a style that does not feel modern. It feels like several times there is usage of like, I don't know, the way that characters speak, the way that they move, the way the camera moves at times. It's all very affected and affecting.
Yeah, it's in the lighting. It's in the way it's shot. Yeah, it feels very old school in a lot of ways.
So while Thomas is going on this new job, he's going away to Transylvania, which, by the way, they never say it. They show it on the map, but they don't say the word Transylvania, which I thought was interesting.
They didn't want to get sued.
Country in the East Carpathians. Ellen is going to stay with Thomas's school buddy Friedrich Harding and his family, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, which, again, Aaron is one of those guys. He's in everything.
Yeah, and
he's in so many films.
And he has nothing to me. Like, I have got no, I wasn't even really, I'm
not a huge Aaron Taylor Johnson fan either. He was really good in Kick-Ass, I think, back in the day. He's going to be in the new 28 Years Later, the zombie continuation. He's in The Fall Guy, apparently. He was, I think, probably most famously in Craven. You know, he was Craven in the recent terrible non-Spider-Man Spider-Man movie. Let's see if there's something else. Nowhere Boy. I forget. He's in The Avengers. He's in Age of Ultron. And he's also got a small role in Winter Soldier too.
Yep.
But he's Quicksilver in the MCU, actually. He was also in the very first Godzilla film from 2014 of the modern series. I think he's pretty good in that too. But I think this is probably my favorite role of his so far. He's really good in this, I would say.
I think he is. I think that Emma Corrin is incredible. They're really good in this.
Okay. Emma Corrin, by the way, is a natural brunette. She is not a blonde. And when I saw her in the cast list, I saw her picture in the cast list.
I think they use they them.
My pronouns. Apologies. I did not know that.
No. That happens to be something that I
Thank you for correcting me.
Absolutely.
I did not recognize them.
Oh my God.
In their picture, cast picture from the film. I was like, that's not them. That's a different person.
Yeah. Well, and then when you see them in fucking Wolverine or whatever, fucking X-Men, they're bald. And you're like, what the fuck?
They're Cassandra Nova in Deadpool Wolverine?
Yeah.
Ashley, oh my God, that makes so much sense now in retrospect. Yes. Okay. They are amazing in this.
Yeah.
And I love the vague hint that there's a little more going on between them and Ellen as well in this movie. It's not, we don't push it, but it's just a little bit there.
Yeah. They kissed in college.
For sure. Anna Harding is much more concerned about Ellen's well-being and continued livelihood than Friedrich is.
Yeah, well, because she's fucking disrupting his whole house. Like, I'm with him. Like, your friend is drama, my gal. Like, this is not fun for any of us. Like, this is like, she is writhing and moaning and drooling and spitting up blood and then like seizing all over the place. Like, whew.
So even though, then this is why I say this is a perfect example of how this movie is about sexual repression. Even before that, even before Thomas leaves, they get to Friedrich's house and the kids are like, it's time to go to bed. Don't put us to bed. The monster's up there, et cetera, et cetera. Which right away I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, when your children think there's monsters in the, just maybe like,
Just like, look, Jack,
sprinkle some
salt.
oil.
Yeah. Like,
To put a salt ring around it, something.
yeah,
I don't know.
like you gotta fucking turn on a fucking light.
As soon though as they're out of the room, as soon as they go upstairs, Ellen fucking jumps Thomas's bones. And then after she's fucked him in,
Fucked him in.
she fucks him in and she cuts off a tuft of her hair to put in the locket. Quick cut to Knock, who's naked on the floor of his room doing ritual magic with his own blood.
God. Yeah, like writing a manifesto with a fucking fountain pen in his own blood. Look, listen. I'm not interested. And I'm interested in a lot of manifestos. I've read a lot of them.
This movie's gonna do some interesting things here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a quick, she's fucking him on the couch and then almost, or on the floor, I should say, excuse me, and then immediately goes to cutting her hair, a quick cut, naked man writhing around on the ground cutting himself. Thomas makes it to Transylvania, but much like in our 1922 film, no one is glad to see him there, Ashley. No one wants him there.
And they also think maybe he should just not go up to that castle. Stay away from there. If you have
that remains true for every version of this story.
Yeah, it happened in every version of Dracula I've ever seen, turns out.
You're like, no, don't do that. Okay, naked virgins on horseback is how I find all of my monsters too, Ashley. I don't know about you. That's the best way to do it.
If you need bait, a naked virgin girl on a horse will get you something every time. You throw out a naked virgin girl on a horse, you're gonna pull in something.
I'll tell you, a naked experienced woman on a horse will get you more, in my opinion, if you ask me, really.
Guarantee you, in long term, yes. But
Lady Godiva knew what she was doing.
If you're just trying to drag in some dregs specifically, then I think
I feel bad for Thomas in this version, Ashley. Thomas can't even get anybody to take him to the Borgo Pass, which is what normally happens, right? They take him halfway and drop him off normally. Here, he's got to walk the first half.
But like,
and then the castle.
Gotta go back to the first movie again real quick, because how fucking hilarious is it that Orlok leaves that ship and is just carrying his fucking coffin through the streets? He's just carrying his coffin for like the longest time. That cracked me up so hard.
Somebody pointed out in the comments somewhere, I saw maybe on Letterboxd, at one point he looks both ways when he's crossing the street.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
He's got it up on his shoulder and he looks both ways before he crosses the street.
I wish I had noticed that. That is brilliant. That's brilliant.
So yeah, the horses show up though here, and the horses have a carriage but no rider in this one, which I really like.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, don't get into that. Also, they almost run him over and then magically they're turned sideways in the road where they couldn't have turned sideways.
I don't like it, guys.
The door opens automatically.
Yeah, guys. Don't get in that. Don't do it.
Okay, I love that the entry to the castle is basically exactly like the original Murnau film. The only thing we don't get is the silhouette of Orlok in the same way.
Yeah. Like, bro,
but it's perfect. It's great in the original.
Can you sweep your castle? There's just piles of dirt and rocks everywhere. Like, fucking, you knew company was coming.
So it's interesting to me. And again, in this version, the reason why any of this is happening is because Ellen has called out to him. And so Orlok has been, one imagines at least, slowly rebuilding his power. If he really was dormant all of those years, as he said that he was to her, then he's been slowly rebuilding his power and regaining his strength, probably. And also figuring out exactly how he can get his shit to Germany where she is and get her. That's my guess anyway. So yes, in this version especially, there should be more of a production at the right? It shouldn't be so empty and hollow. In the old version, it's like, it makes sense because he basically is like, there's nothing here for me. I think I'm going to die of starvation if I stay in Transylvania. I've got to get to England where the blood's good. which is a very Dracula thing. Like the blood of his
Yes.
homeland was used up from him, and so he has to move to greener pastures. That's not really here, but also there's no restoration of the vampire throughout the thing, right? Like in the Dracula
No.
story, he's the wizened old hag of a
Yes, but
ghoul in the beginning.
then he uses his glamours and becomes more beautiful. No, this motherfucker stays ugly and lumpy. What's going on with his back?
I mean, it's like he got dropped in a fryer or something.
Yeah,
It's
it's like a gremlin
very
back.
not cool.
Like you dropped a couple of splashes of water on the back of one of those that ate after midnight motherfuckers, you know?
So Orlok tells him to sit down and get out the deed, and Thomas says, well, would you not wish to wait until the morning? I wish you to do as I request.
Calm down, brother. Also, this. If you pull out a contract that's in a language I don't know, and I'm the motherfucker that was supposed to bring the contract, I'm going to say nope, no thanks on the signing of that. I don't know what I'm selling to you.
As soon as he did it, I was like, I don't know what the contract is because that wasn't in the other movie that we just watched.
Pretty sure you just
But
sold your wife.
Well, I assumed it was him. I assumed honestly that he was selling his soul. And so he was the idea would be that Thomas would become like the Renfield in this film maybe, but I hadn't realized exactly how close Knock's story was going to go to that anyway. So they don't do that. I don't really know exactly what the point of I mean, I guess the point I don't know why the contract. Like he's a fucking vampire. Why does he care that this woman's been married already?
Yeah,
and why does he need to Yeah, I don't really get it. I do like though that he holds it over him later to Ellen. He's like, he sold you for a little bag of gold.
Yeah, a little bag of gold.
He didn't even share any of that bag of gold with you, did he? I bet. He didn't even tell you about it, did he? That asshole. What a dick.
Pockets full of gold, motherfucker.
He don't love you like I love you. Okay, so here's my note at this point. I don't get all the sexy jokes about this movie, but I do get the desire to nibble on Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I thought there would be way more sex in this movie, to be honest. I was expecting this movie to be a lot raunchier than it was.
Yeah, I think people had oversold it in the memes and the TikToks and the whatnot.
Yeah.
I think Book Talk got a hold of this one and just went real wild on it. Whereas like, listen, we've been reading about Lestat massaging his private parts since the tween years. So
yanking out a tampon and drinking some menstrual blood. Miss me with this Orlok bullshit. Come on. He is a fucking amateur.
Nicholas Hoult, though, is a good-looking young man. I honestly had not truly appreciated him, I think. I really, really liked him. I like him as Beast in the X-Men movies.
I do,
but
too.
I loved him in Mad Max. He was in Fury Road.
Yeah.
He's the war boy, the main war boy in Mad Max, and he's amazing in that one. But he's really good as Thomas in this, too. Thomas is a thankless role, I think, in a lot of ways, especially in this version, because Ellen gets so much good stuff to work with. But yeah, he does really well. And again, he pulls his chest open and he's got first of all, I like that it's not 2 marks. I like that it's a whole jaw bite, right? Like he bit him on the titty.
Yeah.
I'm for it. I'd nibble Nicholas Hoult. I'm down for that, actually.
I gave him the bitty titty.
Ashley, they've been looking for Herr Knock. They found him, didn't they?
Oh, my God. If only you could not find him and go back and not find him again.
I love the guy goes, He killed 2 sheep with his bare hands, sir, and he was eating them raw.
When he fucking bit the head off that bird, I about lost my shit. I was like, I knew that was coming, but I had no idea how hard that was going to go. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, spurting decapitated bird head. Jesus Christ.
First of all, they ask him who are you, Herr? And he says, I am no one. I am his servant.
Yeah.
And then he begins to rant about all of the things that Orlok is. And he's got a lot of words and definitions for him. But the one that he comes to eventually, there's 2 words that he says a lot. He says providence often, first of all, which I think is interesting. Because providence is like what God wants for you, right?
Right.
Little G. But that's exactly what he's saying too. God is coming to town, and this is what he wants for me. But then the other word that he uses, and he uses it a lot right here as he's biting the head off of the bird, Devourance.
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 Yeah, I watched it with subtitles on, and I really loved watching Devourance come across the screen repeatedly.
Right? It's so perfect. Okay. Two things there. First of all, shame on every streaming service that I can't just take a screenshot of my device when I'm watching a film with subtitles and see the image of the movie and the subtitle. Like, you give me the subtitle on a black screen and fuck you, every single streaming service.
I'm not trying to do anything nefarious with this.
I want to promote your movie to all of my social media. I want to share this online and be like, look what a great movie this is. Y'all should go watch it right now too. But no, you won't let me do that. Anyway, so first of all, that. Second of all, though, Devourance is so fucking great to describe vampirism, Ashley.
Man.
In particular, I thought about in the Vampire Chronicles novels, the character of Amel, which becomes the central animating factor of the vampires, inhabited in the body of Akasha, the first vampire. Amel is just a cloud of hunger.
Yeah.
Right? He is a cloud of hunger and will. And that's what the early vampires, when they're first created, that's all they feel is this immense hunger. Devour it. And they have to spread it so that they aren't overwhelmed by it. And I was like, boy, that's great. That is a great line to draw there. And I should acknowledge Simon McBurney is the actor that plays Knock here, and he fucking delivers it with verve, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does. He's fantastic.
He was in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I don't know who he played. He was in The Conjuring 2. He's in The Last King of Scotland. Friends with Money, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Theory of Everything. He's been around. But yeah, he's outstanding in this.
Yeah,
really good as Herr Knock.
He's very, very good in this.
Demons more easily obsess those whose lower animal functions dominate. Demons like them. They seek them out. I love the way that Willem Dafoe delivers that line, by the way. The first is he's like really trying to explain it. And then he's like, he's not getting this. Demons like them. Yeah. They seek them out.
He's fantastic in this. I mean, I think Willem Dafoe is really fantastic. Good. But I mean, I think this character, this Van Helsing always has kind of this edge of sort of madness to him that I like. And I really think that this is a great version of it.
We skipped over him, but Dr. Wilhelm Sievers is our Jack Seward replacement, basically.
Daddy from The Witch, huh?
Yeah, played by Ralph Ineson. Great actor. He's really good in this. And I love the way that he introduces Willem Dafoe's character. He's like, this person that I know, there's like one guy who might have the answer for your problem here. And I'm sorry to bring it up, but
he's a little eccentric.
He's here in town. And Friedrich is like, why haven't you mentioned it already? He goes, well, let me tell you, you're not going to like him, first of all.
Yeah.
And you're not going to trust him because everybody in the medical community is throwing this guy out because he's crazy. He really knows his shit, though. He really knows his shit, I promise. I love the way that he doesn't believe him. Right? Dr. Sievers doesn't believe him as they go to seek him out for advice. Unlike in the other versions of Dracula, by the way, where Seward, he doesn't know that there's a vampire going on, but he trusts Van Helsing implicitly, right? Yeah. And then brings Van Helsing in. Where here he's like, this guy's crazy, but he's the only one that might have an answer for it. Actually, we should listen to him. And then Dr. Franz like talks him into basically believing it. And Sievers believes it first before Friedrich does, but like still, it's not. Anyway, it's an interesting, different dynamic here that again, like I feel like adds something to this whole story. Okay, all right. First of all, I do like the idea again there. Demons more easily obsess those whose lower animal functions dominate. What does he mean there? She's horny, and that makes her more attractive to demons.
Yeah, and it's easier for her to fall under their spell because she's horny.
I love it, too, because they mention so many times in this film the fact that Friedrich can't keep his hands off his wife, but nobody ever points at him as like he's drawing in demons, too, because he's horny.
Right, because he's clearly a horn dog.
So I think this is Friedrich that asks it, but it might be Anna, actually. One of the Hardings, though, asks Ellen, why must you remain so exasperatingly contrary? And she says, because I am in the right.
Yes.
Ashley, how many hundreds of thousands of women
have been called exasperatingly contrary?
Because they go to their doctor and they tell their doctor what is wrong. And their doctor goes, no, you need to lose some weight.
Yep.
No, it's nervousness. No,
it's your
you've got a
period.
thyroid issue. No, it's your period. Yeah, exactly.
That
How many
doesn't
women?
hurt. That can't hurt. That can't possibly hurt.
Specifically, I'll say how many women of color, especially, have been thrown. You're pill seeking. There's nothing wrong with you.
That's fucking insane.
Anyway, that one really got me. Why are you so exasperatingly contrary? Because I am in the right. Man, okay, this movie does the slow pan to scary shit better than any movie I think I've ever seen. They do it like 3 or 4 times where they like pan across a room.
There's some really
back
fucking
and
scary
something's
parts
there.
of this. Yeah, this movie had some really good scares in it. I was, concerned a lot.
There's one moment here where I feel like Willem Dafoe forgot that he's not in Poor Things currently.
Oh my God.
His delivery on, maybe it's just the line itself. He says, "I've seen things that would make Isaac Newton crawl back into his mother's womb."
Yes, that line was ridiculous. My God, that line was ridiculous.
Okay, so Orlok makes it to Wisberg. He's in Germany now, and he comes to Ellen because he's like, "Bitch, you called me 20 years ago." Like,
and my vampire brings all the rats to the dock.
And they're they're
holy
hungrier
shit,
than
it's the
yours.
Plague. And we're like, holy shit, it's the plague.
So he comes to her, and she's like, "No, I don't want you." And he is fucking. He's like, "Oh yeah, 3 nights, bitch.
Yeah,
you got 3 nights to figure this out.
And I'm going to kill people every night.
Till you bid me come, shall you watch the world become as naught." And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out to you, if you're in a relationship where someone has ever bargained with you in this way, given you an ultimatum for you to change and or I'll make you suffer. This is an unhealthy relationship. This is what we call domination in a way that is non-consensual, and you should skedaddle in a different direction.
Bag. Let's get you out. Let's get a plan. Let's get you to a safe space.
If he says he's going to kill all your friends if you don't come with him, don't go with him. First of all, that's not the answer.
And then he straight up starts killing people.
Okay, very first, what does he do? He gets that woman that she's been sleeping with and eats her up with rats. The pile of rats on this woman.
So fucking gross. Rats really bother me, Joel. I find
they really bother. Why did it have to be rats, Ashley?
I mean, like rats really fucking get me.
So, okay, you mentioned it earlier. Friedrich has had enough of Anna at this point and kicks her out, or excuse me, has had enough of Ellen and kicks Ellen and Thomas out after Anna falls sick. And I'm with you. I can't blame him at that point. Like he really he's been a dick about it to a degree, but at the same point, he has been paying all the bills clearly.
Yeah, and he has
loaned
had
Thomas
doctors and experts,
good deal of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's focusing on his family is the point.
Good job, sir. Rightly so.
Yeah. Okay, so the concept of Solomonari is brought up here. They go to see Knock's room and they find this book, this magical book, and then they rip up the carpet and they see all of the carvings on the floor. And he says, Solomonari. So I looked this up too.
Yes.
So I don't believe this is the way that this is used in the film. But the word itself comes from a Romanian folk belief of a wizard who rides a dragon and controls the weather. There are schools called Solomonari, spelled slightly differently, Solomonari. The schools recruit from the common people. So normal people can be recruited by the Solomonari, and they're taught magic.
I want to be taught magic and dragon riding. Let's do this shit.
So in some versions of this folk belief, it's like one of them can ride. They're chosen every generation or whatever as the dragon rider. And in other versions, there are many of them that are capable of riding the dragons. There also was a thing for a while where you'd pay like a counter Solomonari to cast some spells on your field so they couldn't be afflicted by the dragon riding wizard.
Right on.
To bring the storms and destroy your crops. Anyway, interesting the way that they tie this all into the occult. And again, it's something that's not exactly there in the original Dracula novel or the film adaptations for sure. And I kind of dig it. All right. So this is when she confesses to Thomas what's happened.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take it very well. First of all, he kind of dismisses her a little bit, but also he blames her And he's sort of like, you whore, you slut.
Yeah. You got a demon lover. Demon lover.
But then she goes into this fit where she's sniffing his crotch and she's like, you could never satisfy me like he could. So then he fucks her on the couch. It's so...
And it's
like, what? This is the point in the film where I made the note, this is a movie about sexual repression as strongly as any vampire movie I've ever seen. For me, it is the least sexy movie about sex that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Then I went further. This is a less sexy movie than Poor Things.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
We'll revisit that thought in a moment.
God.
Willem Dafoe says, God is beyond our morals. So he takes Thomas. First of all, he and Ellen discuss it. And Ellen says, I know it has to be me. I know what needs to happen. She doesn't read the book in this one like she does in the 22 film, but she intuits it because of her nature and because of her. He tells her in the same conversation, he says something like, I'm just a visitor to the world of the occult. You were born to it. She seems to have some ability in the magic realm that he does not. And because of that, they are of a mind. The two of them are going to work together and make this happen. She's going to sacrifice and solve the problem of Nosferatu. But at least she's choosing it here, whereas I feel like in the original version, it wasn't quite the active choice.
Yeah.
I like it that she's more involved in it. But when Thomas realizes that this is what they've done, they've brought him to the lair of Orlok and they kill Nock, but Orlok's not even there.
Yeah.
He's like, damn it, man, you knew this. You knew this afternoon that he wasn't going to be here. How could you do this? And even Dr. Sievers is like, it's wrong. We can't let her be harmed like this. And that's when Willem Dafoe laughs and he says, God is beyond our morals. Ha, 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 ha. And then he burns the place down. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, it finally occurred to me right here as we see Orlok headed to Ellen. Ellen opens up the windows and calls to him and says, I'm ready for you. Come to me.
Puts on a wedding dress and everything.
Yeah, right. The whole 9 yards. It occurred to me that Orlok has the Rowan Mayfair hand power, y'all. He walks in this movie the whole time with his hand down front.
That's not the kind of magic we prefer, Joel.
As our spirits are one, so too shall be our flesh.
No.
Again, Bill Skarsgård is really something. The voice that he's chosen here is just insanity. Very, very strange.
Yeah.
There's a moment earlier in the movie where we quick cut to him lying on top of Nicholas Hoult, and he's draining. He's bit into Nicholas's chest, but he's like humping while he does it.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
Okay. When he says, so too shall be our flesh, in my head, I went, oh, he's about to lay on top of Lily Rose Depp and hump her, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. I said earlier that I wouldn't mind a little nibble of Nicholas Hoult. I'm a good bisexual. I wouldn't mind a little nibble of Lily Rose Depp either, if I'm being honest here, Ashley. Maybe this movie isn't entirely unsexy, is the note that I made at this point. She's listen, Orlok is disgusting. He is decrepit and nasty, but there genuinely is something about that moment. I said this to Kelly earlier today while we were getting a little frisky. I was like, first of all, you made the right choice not watching Nosferatu. This movie would not be for you.
And we definitely would be getting frisky right now if you had watched it.
Probably not. Yeah, definitely not. We definitely wouldn't have been getting frisky if she had watched it. You're right.
Yeah, no, indeed.
I said, but there is this moment at the conclusion of the film where Orlok is drinking from her chest and then raises his head up, and she grabs his head and shoves it back down and says, more. And I gotta tell you, that's sexy. Even knowing he's this nasty, decrepit thing, which is about to die in the sun. Like, I know that's about to happen when she does it. But that moment of her, again, it's like, I don't know, man. The hunger for another person is something that I think if you've really truly been in love and infatuated with another person, you can appreciate that aspect of it.
Our gal in Midnight Mass does that. with the vampire
You're
to keep him there
right.
longer
Oh my
so she
God,
can stab his
yes.
fucking wings.
Yes, I forgot. That's exactly.
Yeah.
She holds him back. She pulls him back in. I knew in that moment, I was like, I've seen this before. Where was it? Yeah. Anyway, to be fair, her boob was not out while she did it.
No, it was
And
not.
Lily's was.
Those pert little nipples. Oh, Lily. Pretty titties.
She's so young. I feel bad
She's so
complimenting her attractiveness, but yeah, she's very pretty. Okay. There was a thought that I had, and I don't know that I've ever connected this before. Maybe it's just because I'd never seen the original film, but there's a moment at the end of the original King Kong film, and then they do it again in the Peter Jackson remake too, where, spoiler alert for a very old and classic film, King Kong is shot to death by a lot of Army and Air Force men off of the Empire State Building, and he dies at the end of that film. But at the end of the movie, you see the carnival barker, the showman that had brought him to New York, and he says the famous line, "'Twas beauty that killed the beast," meaning it hadn't have been for his infatuation with the woman that he carried to the top of the Empire State Building, he would have gotten away. He would have ran away from the bullets before they were so overwhelming. He wouldn't have stuck in this fight that couldn't have been won. That's exactly what this film is. That's what the original was too. 'Twas beauty that killed the beast. Orlok, in his hunger for this beautiful Ellen, this perfect sacrifice, cannot maintain his own health. He can't maintain his own rules to maintain his own life. Yeah, he can't think straight. You ever fallen head over heels, literally, for somebody and ended up
making
wisping away into
choices?
The sunlight? Orlok don't wisp away in this one though, does he, Ashley?
No, that was a really gross, like, that shot pulling up from the bed. I was like, she looks like she just went through like the deadliest childbirth that ever happened. There's just blood all over her legs and thighs.
So the first shot is one thing where he pulls back and he starts bleeding from his mouth and nose.
And he fucking throws up all that blood and all.
Yes. And he's basically, again, it's very much like a gremlin caught in the sunlight is what it made me think of. Absolutely like that. But the real shot, when they show from above the bed and you see, I mean, first of all, one imagines, was the sex that bloody? Like, was he that skinny from the waist down before he threw up all the blood and melted in the sun? I don't know. Like, there is fucking nothing there in the hip department.
There's a lot to unpack in that.
Yeah.
And very little more looking I wanted to do.
It's like, I mean, it's not the same thing because that was like an 80s movie making fun of trans people in some way, but it's like that final shot of Sleepaway Camp. Where like you like pan out and it's like, oh, there's a penis. It was sort of like, you're like, what am I looking at here exactly?
What is happening?
Why are his legs like that?
What's this messy bloody lump? Jesus Christ. Man, he did eat those two little girls so fast and quick. Like, we skipped over that, but he ate those two little girls. Holy shit balls.
The sound effects on the first one especially, you hear off screen, you see Anna's reaction when she comes into the nursery. And you're like, oh, the girls are dead. They're not yet, actually. He's just holding both of them. And you hear off screen one of them. It sounds like he's biting into an apple, except the juices go everywhere, you know? Yeah. And then he drops that one and grabs the second one and drains it too. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Messy vampire in this one too, right? Absolutely. We've talked about that in some literature.
He's not tidy.
No, this one's very untidy. Man, in the ship, when he catches the guy from behind and like just rips his throat out and lets it run all over everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a handful of great scary shots in this one. I will say it wasn't as gruesome or as terrifying as I imagined it based on the trailer. Like, I put this movie off because I thought it was maybe going to be too scary for me. It was not. It was just my kind of creepy.
Yeah. No, it's a good level of scary. It's a good amount of scary.
Who won the movie for you, Ashley? I think it's Lily Rose Depp. She brought it home.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah. She was really good. I mean, Skarsgård was fantastic as well, but I was really surprised by her. That was unexpected. I did not expect her to fucking eat that movie up the way she did.
I did not either.
The physicality was incredible for me.
Yes, 100%. I think of and I mean, it's not a competition exactly. I would put this one slightly behind Sinners as far as like for me.
Yeah, I loved Sinners.
Yeah,
This
Sinners
was
is a
great.
5-star.
This was great,
This
but
is
I
like
fucking
a
like,
strong 4, I would
yeah,
say, probably.
I'll fuck with Sinners on the regular.
Well, and I think that it's interesting because of the two, both of them have a lot, right, in the text, and there will be things to mine if you go back and rewatch either one of these films. But I think every rewatch of Sinners will be enjoyable, whereas many rewatches of Nosferatu would feel like homework, I feel like.
Yeah, you gotta be in the right mood, I think, for that kind of, yeah.
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 I like this one though. You guys are not wrong that dug it.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really, really good film. Eggers don't miss. What is he doing? We talked about this earlier. Is he doing a wolf next? He's doing a new supernatural.
All I can think about him right now is that
quick.
you just go about 10 minutes too long. Just about 10 minutes too long for me, my buddy.
Okay, his next film is called Werewolf, Werwulf, a werewolf horror feature he will direct from a script he co-wrote with Sejan. Variety has confirmed the film is slated for Christmas Day 2026 release in North America.
Excellent.
So there you go. I love it, man. He did a witch story, he did a vampire story,
and now a
werewolf story. Where's my creature from the Black fucking Lagoon? But you want to talk about sexy monsters? Come on now.
Yep.
Everybody's like, Guillermo del Toro did that movie. It's called Shape of Water. I really enjoyed this one. I'm really, really glad that we watched both these films together, and I'm so glad we did them as a double feature. I really think we would have missed. First of all, I think we would have been a little disappointed in Nosferatu, the 22 version alone. The 24 film, the 2024 film, gives it depth and color and a life and a vibrancy. But again, it gives us the context for having seen the original in a way of understanding what Eggers was doing, like so clearly mimicking and bringing to life in a modern way those images that he had so clearly loved.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ones that are seared in everyone's minds. Yep. It was great.
So next week, y'all, it's a live stream show. Our live stream is going to be on Saturday, the 24th of May. You can find the link, the invite, the calendar invite, I should say, is linked in the show notes. Download that, add it to your calendar so you'll have the event, but you'll also have the link to join the call when we go live Saturday night, the 24th.
It's going to be fun.
Bring your comments on Nosferatu and Sinners and Merrick and all the other things that you want to. I'll put up a post, by the way, on our Patreon so that in case some of you aren't going to make the live stream, you can have you can ask questions there.
That'd be awesome.
And so we'll have a few questions to start the show.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and put this in I'm going to go ahead and put this in your heads for next week. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to make a soundtrack for the Vampire Lestat that is all covers. What if the Vampire Lestat was a cover artist? What songs would Lestat have sung? Come with a couple to suggest, and that'll be one of our early topics next week on the live stream.
I love it.
100th episode coming up. Here's a little something to look forward to because I think I haven't even mentioned this to you, Ashley. I'm going to pull the Band-Aid off and do it though. I'm switching the theme music again.
Okay.
I'm going to switch the theme music again. And there's two reasons I'm doing it. First and foremost, and I know I've talked about this on the show before, we switched the theme music a year ago, or almost exactly a year ago, when we moved to video. And the reason we did it is because our old theme music, I couldn't find the license that I had purchased for it. And so YouTube we can't monetize any video that's got that theme music on it. I was like, well, boo on that. So we got new theme music, except this theme music also is not in the YouTube system. And therefore, every single week, I have to paste in this paragraph of text that's like, here's my license, and here's my link to my receipt, and here's why I own the rights, and et cetera, and please don't take my advertising rate, et cetera. So that's one reason to do it. And that would be reason enough on its own. Here's the other reason, though, and this is the bigger reason. We are moving into a season of this show where we're going to be talking about a lot and thinking about and looking forward to the Vampire Lestat and the Queen of the Damned, which are storylines that involve Rockstar Lestat. And our current theme music is not rock music.
No,
it's very
we
cool.
Shifted it for a Paris kind of feel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much got a cool Parisian jazz feel to it. But it just occurred to me, I was like, I think actually we need a little rock. So
I like it.
Look forward to that. I'll be working on that this week. Ashley and I'll pick one, and it'll be in place next week when you hear the show. So there you go. There's your warning. You can complain about it in the comments if you'd like to. I was talking to Kelly about it. I was like, I don't know. Do you think I would have pulled the trigger? And she's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't you? And I said, well, because some people won't like it. So people will fall in love with the theme music and then they'll be mad when you change it. And she said, well, did they do that when you changed it the last time? And I said, yeah. I got a lot of like, people were like, oh, the old theme music was so good. I hate that you changed it. Even now, I'll occasionally get a comment that's like, oh, I really miss the original theme music. That'll be true this time too. So it's fine. It's whatever. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm doing it. Yeah. So there you go.
We have to evolve.
Onward and ever forward. Also, like, sometimes who listens to the whole music to outro the show? It's mostly just me. I understand that. So like, it's fine. I'm doing it for me, y'all, mostly. I'll enjoy yourself. This new shit too.
We support that.
Devourance.
I didn't even know that was a fucking word until today.
I don't think it is a word, honestly. I think that it is I think that it is very, very different.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling. It's a whole vibe check is what it is, Ashley. All right. Until the next time that we talk to you, get ready with your questions and your comments and your feedback for that live stream episode, because we're just going to be playing and having fun.
Very excited.
And until then, we have been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thanks for listening to The Articulate Coven. If you enjoyed the show, check out our groups on Facebook and Discord. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Or find us at articulatecoven.com and wherever you listen to podcasts.